you? Could you tell us something about yourself?
Yeah. My name is Markiem Hassenzahlem. I'm at the moment a professor for experience design at the Folkwang University of Arts. That's an art school. I'm an industrial designer. It's in Essen in Germany. But I'm actually a psychologist by training. So I studied psychology and a little bit computer science, and then I got into computer interaction. I worked a bit in industry for students and a consultancy. Then I went back to university, and finally I got this position in design, and I like it very much.
Okay. What is the process of designing for experiencing, and can you forecast what emotion the products that you design can bring to the people?
Yeah. Okay. When we design for experience, it's basically a user-centered design process. So we focus on the user, but instead of focusing on the tasks too much or on the goals, the things they want to do, we rather focus on what they experience, on the emotions, on the stories we can tell through the object and the stories we want to involve the user through using the product. And accordingly, or as a consequence, at the beginning we start collecting stories. So we do interviews, we ask people about positive stories they have, for example, in the car, or in the train, or wherever you want to design, or in the kitchen, or in the bathroom. And then they come back with the stories, and we analyze them. I mean, all these stories are very unique, but they often have a kind of core. You can see that for us, we're looking for the needs that are satisfied through the experience. So when people tell a positive story about, having made their own cake, but it's about competence, and then they tell a story that all the friends came over and ate the first cake they made, and it's a bit about popularity. So this is the idea of.
So as I see, the process is a bit different. So you start from the emotion, and then take it further.
Exactly. Yeah, because if you want to design for emotion, or for experiences, you need to start with the experiences. I mean, that's the same in user-centered design. If you are interested in the things people do, and what you first thing you do is you observe their work, and we try to get into their experiences.
Yes, exactly. Actually, in business nowadays, it's completely opposite, because they first start with the product, and then at the end they look at the user.
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
Yeah, on one hand, I'm a bit impatient with it. On the other hand, I can understand. I mean, if you're a technology vendor, then you have certain competencies. You're good at creating telephones. It's a bit difficult then, to turn it around and to say, okay, I try to pretend I'm not making telephones. Let's just produce wonderful communication experiences. Because that would be my approach. So I envision a business that is rather about, if it's about telecommunication, it would be about communication experiences, and sometimes phones are involved, or any other tool. So on one hand, I can understand that if you're good at something, you need skills to produce a technology, you need skills to make a website. So at one point, everybody who's doing technology has a set of skills, is good at something. And it's a bit mean, to ask them to just forget all the technological knowledge, and then now you do experiences. But from a strategic point of view, I think it would be very helpful for companies not to think of their products primarily as objects or technologies, and also not to think of the people that use it primarily as users, more as humans. It's just a step further.
I think a lot of things should change. So business actually work for users, for customers, for people, for humans. The products are created just to be created.
Yeah, and from my point of view, I think often the companies I think they really value the customer and the opinions of the customer, and they do all this studies, market research, and so on. But the image or the picture of their customer is still a bit impoverished. It's because they always think of the big market, many numbers. You can have as many personas as you want to, but still, I think they can't see the individual in the user, but that's very important. So, for example, when we design, there's also this method of personas, and they use it in industrial design as well. I always prefer not to have a persona as an average of something, but just a real person.
Okay.
So we often start to make, like idiosyncratic things. So, what do you want to experience? And then we create an object for you that provides an experience. And from this, and then we can check whether it works or not. You will tell us whether you had the experience or not. And then we can work back and see, maybe there are other people interested in it. And my general experience with it is that we are much more alike than we often believe to be. So things that work for you may also work for your friends, or also work for other people.
Exactly, I agree. And in your professional life, you often think speeches about how to design the products, how to make it different, so give experiences and give emotions. Do you also do it in your personal life? So, for example, you're looking at some kind of lamp and you think that, I can do something different with this.
Yes, but actually, I know that maybe the story is a bit too good to be true, but I actually would consider myself rather as an experienced designer. So, I'm in the industrial design, so at the end of the day, it will be an object. I'm very interested in making experiences through objects, but when I design the experience rather. So I'm thinking of situations I want to create. I think of ways how to create the situation and the emotions and feelings I want to have as an outcome. And I use that very much in my life, but it's not around. I'm not looking at a lamp and so I think, you need some experience in it. It's more like, I want to have some friends over, so I think through how the evening should be and how do I get, for example, I like it when I have friends over, I like them to participate. So I'm not this kind of host who wants the people to sit down and then just wait for something to happen. I want them to be engaged as well. So maybe help with the cooking or help with laying the table. How can you arrange that and make that so that it feels good? These are the cases.
Some kind of interaction between people.
And how can you create it? Maybe through an object or through a ritual or something like this.
I like the plain boxes that you showed me during the conference. It's a very nice thing. I think it's amazing. It's such an easy idea and it's so powerful. I really, really like it.
That really came from one of my personal individual experiences because I had that very often on parties. Where nobody could decide about the music, and then you step up and you think, okay, now I go to the MP3 player and there's a good song. I select a good song and the party will be great, and then you do it, and it's one of the best songs. And you go back to your friends, you're part of the crowd, and they say, "Oh, wonderful, nice song," and then somebody else goes there and just kills it.
The party actually.
Everybody kind of has it. And then I was also on a party once where they had iPhones and they did the iTunes DJ thing, and it completely destroyed the whole party because either everybody was like staring on these little screens, or if you didn't have an iPhone or an iPod, you couldn't participate. And then there was this voting going on, and somebody won and somebody lost, and it's nothing you want to have at a party. You want that people do something together.
Yes, not through the mobile phones when they're sitting next to each other. Okay. In your speech, you were showing tactile interfaces as a way of communication. Do you think it will be the next trend?
It's also a difficult question. Okay. I somehow got into industrial design and I like it, so the most natural things are tangible objects. I think they have a special value because I think for humans it's very important to be able to touch something, to grasp it, to really manipulate it, and not to have everything behind the screen, so to say. There's a distancing feel to it when it's all in a computer. So I think it's quite nice, and I would hope that more people create interactive objects in a nice way. But then most of the things we do, you could also do them like an app. Also, it's not the tangible thing. It's not the primary thing in it. For example, we had a project with the German Railway, and it was about having more fun and having more the feeling of traveling in the high-speed trains. Because normally in the high-speed trains they are fast and they have nice seats and so on, but you don't get the feeling of really traveling. So because it's like it's more like you're sitting in a bullet, you're shot from Frankfurt to Cologne. And you have these walls on the side of the tracks, and you can't smaller windows because of the pressure, and you can't even see anything outside there. So you don't get into this travel mood. Yeah. And we were thinking about, we were going in trains and trying to figure out what is positive when you go by train, and can you do something with technology then? And then we came up with a number of strange objects and also tried them out. I mean, the German Railway was.
What was the most interesting object that you made?
Well, that's a bit of a complicated story, but I try to explain it. We found out that, let's say you're in a train, you're alone, you forgot a book or something like that, so you're a bit bored. So what people really like to do is listen to other people talking. So you sit there, I guess you did it as well, I know everybody did it. So you sit there and you see that these people have a talk, and you kind of, like a voyeur, you get a little bit back. And then you just listen to the interesting stories. And we thought, and many people, when they talk about positive experience in a train, they come up with a story, and then they tell, I listened, I heard these wonderful things, and whoa. So we tried to make a concept out of that. So the idea was, you're sitting in the train in two places, two seats together, and then there's something here, or something, and you can pick it up and you can listen in. And what happens on any random other seats, a microphone opens and you can just listen to the people sitting there. And then, but they can see it. So let's imagine we're sitting here, and suddenly something opens, and listening to us. We can either close it down, or maybe we can just ignore it, or we can even make more interesting stories, like pretend something because we know that somebody is listening. And that was it was a very interesting concept for several reasons. Because first of all, there was a clear practice that people do it. So why not putting it making it into a concept? But then everybody was really concerned. No privacy, you can't listen. And I said, come on, do it anyway. So this is even better because it's anonymous. It's anonymous and you have the choice. Yeah, it's even better. Yeah, it's more privacy. It's an improved experience. No, we can't do that. And it's impossible. I mean, even as a concept, they found it impossible. And then the student who was doing it, he went into the trains and he asked people for the permission to record their conversations. And they said, you can do it, no problem. And then he took it and he gave it to other people via MP3 player, and they really enjoyed it. So it would work. It would work. And I'm also sure that I would invest millions of euros into such a system. But if you think it through, we're investing a lot of money into practical things. So they think about, making wider seats and where to put the luggage. It's all quite important, But it's also important that you feel good in a train. And if you experience something like this and it's kind of presented to you through the object, it's also very, it pays back. Yeah,
and you want to come back to this kind of train because you remember that you felt good inside.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that can we switch to another question? Yeah. The first day of IIF Summit Conference was about the startups, and all the topics were about the quite basic one and directed to startups and to students. And I have a question: do you have any advice for people who just started a startup, who are thinking about it?
Yeah. To be honest, I have no experience with startups. So as you can see, I'm very happy at my university, and I don't have the slightest wish to make something commercial or business-like. That's why I'm at university. But taking this aside, I think you can't do anything in technology as a startup if you're not really convinced of it. So if you do it because you think of, I do something cool and then later I sell it, or if it's more about the business plan than the actual content, I think that's my advice. Don't do it because it's not worth. I mean, maybe you get famous, you get rich, but I think with all this stuff, it's very important that you that you are behind it, that you really believe in this service you provide, and it's also, I think it's also a responsibility. So I think I'm very, I kind of dislike people that create things that don't take the responsibility, don't think it through. So I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't. You can't just hire me and then I design something for you and I don't care about the experience. I care very much about the content. So, can I relate to it? Is it ethical? Is there responsibility?
So keep all the key responsibilities in your mind and be behind the products all the time.
Yeah. Take the responsibility for the thing you do. Exactly. Yeah, and stand up to it, and don't tell stories like I did it to get the money, or we did it this way because then my business angels liked it more, or something like this. Then I think I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Is the approach of boxes in the new metro interface for mobile devices?
It's getting very specific.
Yes, now it's getting very specific. I was wondering, because now I see, even in the websites, on mobiles, the boxes, everywhere you see the boxes, everything is divided.
Yeah.
And do you think this will be the future of this kind of trend now? It's very, very popular. And I was thinking, is it really the right direction and should we follow it?
Yeah. What kind of mobile phone do you have? Do you have a Windows phone?
No, I have some Ericsson.
No, okay. Okay, now, not speaking as a professional, now speaking as a consumer. I have a Windows phone. It's one of the most beautiful interfaces I ever saw. I like it, and I still like it. I have my phone for over a year now, and it's like, when I got it, I understood a little bit more about why people like the iPhone so much. So I got a little bit like a fanboy of the interface. I can't really tell why. There's little solutions in it I really like. It's very graphical, so I'm a fan. But it's just surface. You know what I mean? It's like, and next year it will be something different. And in 10 years it will also be something different. So I think it's like, the question is okay, but you shouldn't worry too much about it. Now it's boxes. Maybe next year it's something else. Yeah, it had been, it had been wooden shelves on the iPad or so. I mean, designers come up with something and then others copy it, and interfaces become they're white, they're black, they're glossy, they have drop shadows. I don't know. It's because it's design, but at the end of the day, this is surface. And for me, it's a really important point, because basically I would argue that the telephone didn't change from one hand to this. It got a screen, it got a knobs. Some years ago, you needed to turn a handle and ask somebody, but still the telephone is still the same. It's still, you pick it up, you punch in a number, and then you have to have a conversation. I think it's a bit strange, that nobody really questions the concept in itself. I mean, there are 100 ways of communicating over the distance with each other. It's not only talking. Yeah, there's touch. We have a lot of different senses. Yeah, sometimes we don't want to talk. We just want to say, "I'm here. I'm thinking of you." We have romantic communications life. We have more practical communications life. It's so rich, and then the only thing they can come up is, the same old phone, and then there's a calendar in it, and it's yeah, I can check my email. Wow, yeah, it's it's an invention, I know, and it makes life better, but it's also, if that's everything, it's a bit lame, isn't it? and then we can wonder about whether metro interface is interesting or not, and I can show you all the details I really like as being in the design department. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I'm not so sure.
And the last question: what is your favorite way to involve user in your tests? In the projects. I started out as a real usability practitioner and coming from psychology, so I was very used to usability testing, so getting people into a laboratory and then they do tasks, scenarios, measure, stuff like that. For analysis, I visited a workplace where focus group, and I think all these methods are very valid, but what I miss is a deeper understanding of these individuals. Like they come into they are only participants, and it's only a sample, and they come there and they do something, and I'm kind of focusing on what they do, and then they go home, and I try to be objective. But even when I started the usability, sometimes I did these debriefing interviews, and I got really lost in it, because this person was so interesting. I was just talking, and tell me about your work, and they were just telling stories, and I found this stuff much more revealing than the actual test. Yeah, the actual test showed me that, here's something people don't get, but the interviews actually, and understanding what they do, actually showed me, for example, that the whole project maybe is not really fitting into something. So my favorite way of doing this is really being like real people, a small sample, small number of real people, trying to get as close to them as possible. Don't interview them, have a conversation with them, try to understand how they live, and then make something, an object or a service, like an intervention, put it there and see what happens. More like a sandbox experimenting, social experiment thing, and not more like a shared or mutual exploration of stuff, and not so much, I did something and tested, and then I get feedback. It's more like, it's also not co-designing, because I think I want to set the stage, but it's like doing something for a real person in the real world, like a dialogue, having a dialogue with somebody and trying to figure out through the dialogue what they want. I think it's like creating a natural environment, because when you are in conversation with someone, you're talking about something, some kind of things, it comes quite naturally, but when you are tested, it's always seems a bit strange, because it's not something that you get used to.
Yeah, you know what the difference for me is between an interview and a conversation? When you do an interview, it's like the interviewer is like a bit of disinterested. Yeah, he or she tries to step back and tries to put the person center stage. And you're not, as an interviewer, you're not supposed to give something away of yourself. But a conversation is more like an exchange. Yeah, and I think that's something I find really important. That the designer. I think in user-centered design, so the general idea sometimes is that I have to step back. So I'm not really there, and you tell me what you want, and then I try to understand, and then that makes something for you. But as a designer, I don't have any values. I'm not making it for me, I'm making it for you. But this is not the way it should work, I think. It should work like, I want to make something for you, and I think I should make it like this. And you tell me, oh no, because here and there, I don't like that. We can argue a bit, but I want you to, I want you to have your breakfast a little differently. Yeah? You should take more time, it's healthier. I have no time in the morning. thinking? Yeah, that's a conversation. Like, I have values, you have values, and we try to make something we could agree on. Yeah, and not stepping back and you know, pretending that I'm so interested in what you're saying, and then I take it away. But then I did it with 20 other people, and I just pick the stuff I'm interested in.
Exactly.
And then I do something for you. No, that's not the way I would like to do it. And I know it's also that this is difficult for business and industry. Also on the conference, I heard a lot of, you know, measuring and also justification. So I think it's a common situation. You have an idea, and then you go into these companies, and somebody in management wants to know, you know, how much money it makes. But this is just for the business politics. It has nothing to do with the actual design process. And that's the weird thing. I think a lot of designers know that. They know that they can just talk to one person or two people, and you find out all the crucial things. But then they launch into real studies because somebody said if you don't do a study with 20, 100, 2,000 people, we're not taking the risk. Also, the designer already knows that there will be no extra knowledge gained through these studies.
Okay, thank you very much for the
Thank you.
It was very